It's been quite some time since the Super Mario movie was released, and several very dark theories have started to appear around this film. What at first glance looks like an innocent story could actually be hiding darker secrets and unexpected twists. Today we're gonna talk about betrayals, mysterious origins, and even the possibility that everything we saw never actually happened. Toad is a traitor. This theory might sound like a joke, but it connects very well with a mystery we've always had about Bowser. If you think about it, Bowser was always one step ahead of Mario's entire team, but we never really knew how. This is where the theory starts to make a lot of sense. From the very beginning, when Mario enters the pipe and arrives in the Mushroom Kingdom, the very first character he encounters is Toad. And what's curious is that with only a brief mention that his brother was taken to a dark castle, Toad immediately knew it was Bowser's castle, and his first reaction was to take Mario straight to the Princess Peach? It was very strange that Toad seemed so sure that Princess Peach would help him rescue his brother, without even questioning it. But there's something important to keep in mind here. Very few people actually knew that Mario had arrived in that world. We had Toad, Peach, and a few other Toads who saw him walking through the kingdom. And somehow Kamek, the Koopa who serves as Bowser's advisor, later says that a report came in claiming they were training a human.
A mustachioed human has arrived in the Mushroom Kingdom.
So why suspect Toad? As the theory moves forward, we see that Toad is the only one who volunteers to accompany Peach and Mario. And while that may not seem strange at first, Peach had never seen him before in her life.
Hey, Mario! You know this guy?
Let alone spoken to him. In reality, Toad may have done this so he could keep a very close eye on both Mario and Peach. But that's not all. Right when they ask the Kongs for help, Cranky shows Peach and the others a map of the kingdom. He already has an idea of the route Bowser's army will take with his airship. That's when they come up with the idea of taking a shortcut to ambush them. And that shortcut is none other than the Rainbow Road. Cranky is the only one who knows about this path. No one else knows it exists. Not even Bowser. Because if he did, Bowser obviously would have used it himself. But remember what happens in the movie. Bowser sends part of his army to intercept them. How did he know they would go through that route if no one knew about that shortcut? Well, guess who was present when they made that plan? That's right, Toad. Even during the ambush itself, at no point does Bowser's army actually try to harm Toad. The only moment he's ever in real danger is when the road itself begins to collapse. Not because anyone was trying to attack him. And all of this becomes even more suspicious at the end of the movie. Every time Bowser conquers a kingdom, every time he takes control of a new territory, he locks the inhabitants in cages deep inside his castle. But that doesn't happen with the Mushroom Kingdom. Everyone is imprisoned. Everyone except one of them, Toad. So here's the question. Why did Toad always insist on staying close to Peach? Why even when the entire kingdom tried to escape, did Toad decide to stay behind? Could it be that Toad is actually a traitor? Mario's dream. This theory is probably one of the most disturbing of them all, because it doesn't just change one small detail of the story, it changes absolutely everything we saw in the Super Mario movie. What if the entire adventure we watched was actually just a dream Mario had? At first glance, it sounds like a pretty extreme idea. After all, in the movie we see Mario travel to another world, meet Princess Peach, fight Bowser, and rescue Luigi. But the structure of this story is surprisingly similar to something that already happened before in the video game franchise. In Super Mario Bros. 2, one of the classic games, the entire adventure is eventually revealed to be nothing more than a dream Mario had. At the end of the game, we see Mario sleeping, while everything that happened throughout the story seems to have taken place only inside his mind. And that opens a very interesting possibility when we look at the movie. The Mushroom Kingdom that Mario finds almost feels like a perfect fantasy built for him, because his abilities as a plumber suddenly become essential to saving that kingdom. Even the challenges he faces seem to reflect his own insecurities. At the beginning of the movie, Mario doubts himself. He isn't sure whether he can truly succeed, but in the Mushroom Kingdom, he faces bigger and bigger trials, until he finally defeats Bowser and rescues Luigi. All of it feels as if the journey is a representation of his desire to prove that he really is capable. The arrival of Peach. Now, let's move on to a theory involving Princess Peach. The first time you watch the Super Mario Bros. Movie, this detail doesn't seem that important. But if you remember the scene where Peach tells Mario about her past, she reveals something very strange. When she was only a baby, she appeared in the Mushroom Kingdom after passing through mysterious pipes that connect different worlds. The Toads found her, and from that moment on, she grew among them, and eventually they made her their princess. But if you think about it carefully, that story leaves us with several questions that are hard to ignore. How did Princess Peach actually arrive there? Who are her parents? And how were the Toads even able to raise her? Let's take this step by step. First, how did Peach actually arrive there? The simplest explanation would be that she simply got lost as a child and accidentally found a pipe that eventually led her into the Mushroom Kingdom. But honestly, that explanation doesn't really make sense. Just think about it. When you're a child and you get lost, it's terrifying because you can't find your parents. But when Peach appears in the Mushroom Kingdom, she doesn't behave like a child who has just gotten lost. She doesn't cry, she isn't scared, she doesn't even seem confused. In fact, the way the movie presents the scene makes it feel as if she simply arrived. And that's very strange, because there's another detail that's even more curious. When the Toads tell the story, it almost feels like they were already expecting to find her. The Toads don't react with surprise at all. They simply accept her, take care of her, and welcome her without hesitation. And then, over time, they make her their princess? From the very beginning of the movie, we see that those pipes function as dimensional portals. And that raises another possibility. Those same pipes could also be used to transport something important, to hide something, or even to save someone. And that opens a very unsettling idea. Peach might not simply be a human who accidentally got lost. Someone may have sent her there. There's another detail that strengthens this idea. Throughout the entire movie, we only see 3 humans in the Mushroom Kingdom: Mario, Luigi, and Peach. That means humans are not something common in that world. Which makes it even stranger that a human baby suddenly appeared there and eventually became the ruler of the kingdom. So the real question becomes, who sent her there? And why? One possible explanation is that her own parents sent her, because they already knew that this was her destiny, and that's why she doesn't appear frightened when she arrives among the Toads. It could have been some kind of agreement they made with the inhabitants of the Mushroom Kingdom. But what do you think about Peach's origin? Do you have another explanation? So, friends, which of these theories seem the most possible to you? If you have others, leave them down in the comments.